that reviews and comes in to decide whether a full investigation will be necessary for structural damage, building collapses. They were investigators in 9/11. They were investigators in a number of structural incidents around the country, and are the best of the best when it comes to making sure that they do a complete and thorough overview. They're in a preliminary investigation right now to determine whether or not they open a full investigation. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I would expect that it is natural that they would decide to do that. And their role is to very forensically review, as the process of going through the rubble, even during the search and rescue process, to help make sure that evidence preserved, which they're working with the task force on debris to do that, to make sure that even with the Army Corps of Engineers that is embedded in their team, to take a look at some of the issues that have arisen anecdotally, but the issues like the questions around the structural damage to the pool, that area that has been mentioned, and other different points of weakness. They will look through that preliminary investigation and determine whether they open a full investigation, and that is triggered when they get a sense of, after their preliminary review, of whether or not any decisions and fact-finding that they engage in as a result of that investigation can have longer-term implications and recommendations for how we change federal oversight, federal law related to building construction and the kind of code enforcement decisions that will have to be made on the ground. So it's really important and very significant that they're here as early as they have been, because getting them here, embedded with the debris task force, making sure that they advise on how evidence should be preserved once law enforcement takes over, will give them a better chance of answering the question that I know I've been asked over and over. We all have been, okay, how are we going to deal with the long-term implications of this? Did this only impact just this building? We have, as we've said, structures like this all the way up the coastline of the United States. And what NIST will be able to help do is, they're a fact-finding, not a fault-finding agency, and a long-term investigation of theirs would give us a chance, for me, as a member of Congress, to be able to to adopt changes in federal law that will help them make sure that when structures are built, that something like this could never happen again. So I'll continue to be engaged with our very seamless local, state, and national leaders, so that we can make sure that we continue the whole of government approach where there's no divide between any of us. Thank you so much, and thank you, Mayor Levine Cava, for all your work.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And Governor Ron DeSantis. Well, I had a chance to meet with a number of the urban search and rescue teams today, and as I have seen them, of course, over the last many days, but they've been going at it for over 100 hours straight. When there's danger, they run towards it. They obviously shepherded a lot of people to safety initially, and they have been every minute of every day since the building collapsed trying to identify survivors. They're putting themselves at risk in order to do that, not only because you could have additional collapse. You've had deep-seated fires that they've had to fight. It's been an incredibly hazardous environment, and they've been on the scene nonstop from the very beginning. So I just want to thank them for what they've done. We obviously have some other folks throughout the state that have been able to also come and supplement, but those teams here in South Florida, they're the best of the best. And we had the Israelis come in and take a look, and the Israelis told some of the families what those Miami-Dade search and rescue folks did is exactly what we would have done, exactly what should have been done. And so I think it's a testament, our best in the country here in South Florida, some of the best in the world. Obviously, Israel coming over, they deserve a lot of credit for putting themselves out there. And obviously, the search continues, and it will not stop until there's a resolution. So thank you for that. We're also working in conjunction with FEMA, as well as in conjunction with both local government and private organizations to bring relief services to the family members, and that involves relocation assistance. It involves things like mental health counseling, and we have folks, we've beefed that up here on the ground, and what we want to do is, working with FEMA, identify all the families get them registered face-to-face, which FEMA is doing and is doing a good job of, and be able to provide these services. I have the head of Volunteer Florida is on the ground to help coordinate with all the great volunteer organizations. The outpouring with the charitable donations has been incredible, millions of dollars, and I think there's going to be millions of more. So it's a testament to this community here in Surfside, as well as the greater Miami-Dade area, and as well as Florida and the United States, because people from all across the country have been involved in that. So those recovery efforts from the family of helping them get back on their feet, helping them cope with trauma, that's going to be ongoing. And this is something that's going to require community involvement, local government, state government, and FEMA for a while, and we're in that for the long haul. The final thing is, of course, rescue number one, care for the people that have been displaced number two, but we do obviously need to identify why this happened. I was able to meet with the NIST folks today, and they were created after 9/11. They've done a handful of really thorough investigations since their creation. 9/11, they did Joplin, Missouri, from the tornadoes. They're doing Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. They did a Rhode Island nightclub fire that happened almost 20 years ago. And so they've never done just a straight building collapse that wasn't involved with either hazards or terrorism. And so this is going to be something that's important. It is something that's going to be very thorough, and it is something that is not going to happen in a day or two. This is going to take a long time. That's the time horizon they work on, and I understand that. What I've told Mayor Burkett in Surfside, as well as Mayor Cava, because Surfside has retained people to look in, and then obviously Miami-Dade with the state attorney, they're doing an investigation. I think those investigations may be able to provide us with some information maybe a little sooner than an NIST, and I think that's important because if there are things that need to be done at the state level, we obviously would want to get information as soon as possible. And so we've pledged at the state, if they need support from engineers, from experts, whatever we need, whether it's Surfside, Miami-Dade, we're here to help. I think the people of Florida want to understand how could this happen, and then what could we do to make sure it doesn't happen again. And so we'll be working on that for the long term. But in the interim, thank you for everybody who's going through that rubble. Thank you for being on the front lines for us. Your work is very, very important, and it's been very, very selfless.
Thank you, Governor. And now Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Núñez.
Thank you. Good morning. I'll reiterate what the governor said in Spanish. Queremos agradecerle a los grupos, a los equipos de búsqueda y rescate que siguen continuando en su proceso. Estamos muy agradecidos desde el punto de vista del Estado en todos los esfuerzos que ellos han hecho en estas últimas horas, estos últimos días, en un momento muy difícil para nuestra comunidad, para la familia, las amistades, para todos aquí. Y de verdad le agradecemos todo el esfuerzo, la energía con que ellos están tratando de buscar sobrevivientes. También le queremos agradecer que el grupo de Israel que está aquí actualmente, ellos han dicho, sí, con mucha certidumbre, que nuestros equipos hicieron lo debido, hicieron lo que tenían que hacer, y no hay duda que nuestro equipo del condado es uno de los mejores, si no el mejor en nuestro estado y tal vez en nuestro país. Así que estamos muy agradecidos del apoyo que hemos recibido de Israel. También el Estado continúa en la colaboración con el gobierno local en proveyendo servicios, especialmente con lo que es los servicios voluntarios. Tenemos aquí Volunteer Florida que está iniciando y que está manejando lo que es el proceso de las donaciones. Hay obviamente una respuesta de la comunidad que ha sido para mí muy positivo. Hemos visto personas de todas partes, no solo de aquí de nuestra comunidad, pero de todo el mundo que está ayudándonos con lo que es las donaciones, tanto las donaciones y lo que es las organizaciones caritativas que también están recibiendo fondos para ayudar. Van a haber muchas personas. Sabemos que hay muchas familias que han tenido problemas obviamente con estas circunstancias, que han tenido que irse de sus edificios y van a necesitar ayuda a largo plazo. Y también quiero reiterar que el gobernador tuvo la oportunidad de reunirse con NIST. Eso es el Instituto Nacional de Estándares y Tecnología, que tiene el cargo sobre lo que es los edificios o circunstancias cuando hay un colapso tal como hemos visto aquí. Nunca en la historia han tenido que lidiar con un colapso tal como este. Han lidiado obviamente con 9/11 en actos de terrorismo y también en otras circunstancias. Eso va a ser algo de largo plazo, eso va a tomar años tal vez en recibir el reporte, pero sí también quiero asegurar que estamos de nuevo coordinando y colaborando con el gobierno local para lo que es las investigaciones actual, Surfside, el condado. Vamos a seguir iniciando ese proceso para proveerles respuestas a los familiares que tanto necesitan una respuesta. De nuevo le agradecemos a nuestros grupos, a todo el que esté aquí. Estamos unidos en el dolor de esta comunidad, de los familiares, y que Dios bendiga a todos los que están trabajando día tras día, sacrificando. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Now Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Levine Cava.
Here we are, day 5, and the search and rescue work continued throughout the night. 24/7, the tireless work of our first responders. These are truly the men and women who have dedicated their lives to saving lives, and this is what they live for, to save lives. So they're out there with every resource that they need to ensure that they can search this area, they can sweep the mound with cameras, with dogs, with sonar, and additional heavy machinery that has come in to start to clear away the debris. We are exploring all possible avenues that they identify. And we're going to continue and work ceaselessly to exhaust every possible option in our search. I repeat, the search and rescue operation continues. As the governor and the congresswoman said, and the lieutenant governor, there is going to be a thorough and full investigation of what led to this tragic event. We are going to get to the bottom of what happened here. Right now, our top priority is search and rescue and find the people. And you can see we have a truly unprecedented mobilization effort underway with the full resources of our local, state, and federal government on hand already, for days already, and people coming in from around the state and around the world to assist us right here in Surfside. I am so grateful to all of the leaders and all of the teams, and especially those who are up on the mound and putting their own lives at risk to find others. This morning, we did recover another body. That brings the count to 10. The total number of those accounted for is now 135, and the total unaccounted 151. Our detectives are working in real time right now to audit this list. We're receiving multiple calls still from family members about the same loved ones, and the information is coming from various sources. I want to stress, as we have from the beginning, these numbers are very fluid and they will continue to change. I want to provide you, as we have done and will do, the best updates as soon as we have them. Remembering that we've told the families that are waiting that they will be the first to hear, and they were the first to hear about this 10th victim that we uncovered today. So we will continue to support all of the families and loved ones who are affected with their mental health, their social service, their physical needs. They have professionals on site, a full gamut in the Family Assistance Center. The Miami Foundation, one of those that launched the donation site, is also on site to assist these families with the cash assistance they need to get on with their lives as well. And we know that, as was said, millions have been collected across these different donation sites. It's really quite incredible. So please continue to pray for the families, continue to pray for the search and rescue team, the best in the world. We have hundreds on backup. We have the people we need. We are continuing without stop. Thank you and God bless. La búsqueda y rescate continúa durante la noche, durante el día, incansable de nuestros socorristas. Estos son hombres y mujeres realmente comprometidas al salvar vidas. Eso es su meta, salvar vidas. Mientras hablamos, están usando todas las técnicas que tienen allí, los recursos disponibles, todos que necesitan. Tenemos recorriendo el lugar con perros, usando maquinaria pesada adicional para limpiar los escombros y explorando todas las vías posibles. Vamos a hacer todo lo posible y agotar todas las opciones en nuestra búsqueda. No vamos a dejar nada. Como dijo el gobernador y la congresista, habrá una investigación exhaustiva y llegaremos al fondo de este asunto, federales, estatales y locales. Como pueden ver, tenemos una movilización sin precedentes de apoyo y recursos en el sitio del Estado, federales de FEMA, los equipos internacionales que nos apoyan y todos nuestros otros aliados. Estoy muy agradecida con todos los líderes y equipos que están aquí para apoyar esta operación. Estamos trabajando juntos para salvar vidas. Esta mañana recuperamos otro cuerpo, lo que eleva el número total de víctimas a 10. Como siempre, hablábamos con las familias primero de anunciarlo acá. El número total de los contabilizados es ahora 135 y los no contabilizados es 151. Quiero enfatizar, como siempre, desde el principio, que estos números siguen siendo extremadamente fluidos y seguirán cambiando. Estamos trabajando brindarle a las mejores actualizaciones que tenemos y continuaremos haciéndolo, porque sí cambian los datos. Continuamos apoyando a todas las familias afectadas con profesionales de servicios sociales y de salud mental, con más que 20 grupos ayudándonos en el sitio de asistencia para familiares. Estamos agregando todo en el centro y estamos muy agradecidos por toda la ayuda que estamos recibiendo. La Fundación Miami, uno de los que está recibiendo donaciones, también está allí ayudando a las familias con necesidades para pagar para las necesidades. Continuamos orando para las familias, para los que están allí y para nuestros socorristas que están poniendo sus propias vidas en mucho riesgo para esta búsqueda y rescate. Gracias a todos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And now Chief Financial Officer and Fire Marshal, Jimmy Petronis.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Governor. Thank you for your leadership through all this. You don't get a break. Hurricanes, pandemics, you name it. This governor's been boots on the ground. He's been leading since day one. Mayor, your staff, amazing. The folks of Miami-Dade County, the resilience that they've provided. This is an international issue, as we've seen support come from the federal, international community. I'm the state's chief financial officer. I'm also the state fire marshal, also a citizen of the state of Florida. Proud to be here with the urban search and rescue men and women of task forces that are assigned here. This is the largest ever deployment of task force resources in the history of the state of Florida that's not a hurricane. The same number of men and women that are on the ground right now is the same as that was deployed to Hurricane Michael, which is a 12-county storm event. They're working around the clock. They're working 12 hours at a time, midnight to noon, noon to midnight. They come from Tallahassee, they come from Orlando, they come from Tampa, they come from Israel, they come from Mexico, they come from Jacksonville, they come from Fort Myers. They come and they leave their families to come and work around the clock. The reward is the lives they save. They are making the efforts as we speak right now, and they don't stop. They hardly rest. They come off for about 45 minutes, they check their pulse, they check their O2 levels, and they go back to work, because that's what they do. They work to save lives. I've got the honor to be here with them, and so proud of the efforts that are taking place here. I can't say enough for the leadership of Kevin Guthrie and Florida Department of Emergency Management for FEMA. They have provided as they know the magnitude of this event. This came from a camp, and now we've created a city inside of a city, several blocks, and we appreciate all the patience that the communities have had here in the region as we do the most amazing efforts in the history of the state of Florida to save the lives at risk because of this terrible tragedy. Governor, thank you for your leadership. Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. And now from the Florida Division of Emergency Management, Kevin Guthrie.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Kevin Guthrie, Florida Division of Emergency Management Director. Yesterday at about 4:15 yesterday afternoon, Mayor Cava, Chief Kaminsky asked for the assistance of a federal incident support team specifically related to urban search and rescue. FEMA was in the room at the exact same time. The informal communication of that request happened in minutes, so that request was sent up and mobilized, and we have followed up with the necessary paperwork. So again, I think it's important for everyone to understand that as soon as Mayor Cava, Chief Kaminsky, Director Ramirez need a resource, we're sitting together, we're working together underneath the leadership of the governor, the lieutenant governor, Mayor Cava, and others to make sure that that happens instantly. Again, as Congresswoman said, there is no daylight in between either one of us. So I think that's important for everyone to know. I will say that we also are mobilizing today a Florida DHSMV bus to help people get ID cards for those that have been displaced. They need ID cards, driver's licenses, and things of that nature. Those will be that bus will be deployed today. Should be here on site tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. And now the Surfside Mayor, Charles Burkett.
I just have a handful of things I want to share with you. First was this morning I was at the site and I observed hundreds of search and rescue people actively using their hands, digging out, and doing what they're here to do. I also observed the heavy equipment that the governor and the federal government have sent down to us in action, lifting off huge slabs and moving them away from the pile. Secondly, I visited with the families again this morning, as did everybody probably standing here, and we heard from the Israeli team that is here, and one of the things I wanted to note was that the Israeli commander told us that